Hey, what's that giant dust cloud in the distance? Oh no, it's atomic monsoon!
Here we go. It's monsoon season.
It is.
It is such monsoon season that we did 2 episodes this week, Stephanie. Well, I did 2 episodes this week.
You did 2 episodes this week, but the show did 2 episodes this week. Just
yes.
Only one with me.
Right. Well, yeah, with school starting back up, you had to go back to teaching, and so I was like, well, nuts to this. I'm gonna have some fun by myself, and so yeah, I got to talk to CraigSkitz of the CraigSkitz podcast and CraigSkitz on Twitch and all of the things he's doing now. So that episode is available in our download archives on atomicmonsoon.com. But it was we were having such a nice talk. I tried editing some stuff out, but it still ended up being way too long for our regular broadcast stream on Voice America. So that is going to have to be a download exclusive episode.
Yep.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and here we are.
Here we are.
Oh, I want to say thanks to our friends at Def M Records as well for providing our regular intro music. Which
I was just about to say that.
Yeah. No, man, they're great dudes, and you can check them out. DefMRecords.com should be working again. It was down for a little bit there, but even if not, you can look for Def M Records on Bandcamp, and you can find all their music there as well.
Yep. That's all I got.
There we go.
There we go. The end.
So while we're creating this content, what are we going to talk about today?
I was thinking content creators.
Well, that's just seems fitting.
Yeah. Especially since you had Craig on this week, so.
Yeah. Craig was one of my favorite content creators back in the old days of the internet, back in 2006.
Whoa.
Yeah. Back before everyone had high-speed everything all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Before smartphones, before YouTube was mainstream.
That's a long time ago, dude.
I was watching that guy. Unfortunately, due to acquisition after acquisition of the company he worked for, ScrewAttack, or company he founded, he started Attack. Company got bought by another company, which got merged with another company, which got bought by another company, and now they're part of the AT&T family. And after all of his acquisitions, in 2019, they retired the name ScrewAttack and made all of those old videos private. So most of them are gone.
Oh.
However, some strange individual on YouTube, and I say strange not because they're necessarily weird, but like nobody knows who they are, saved a bunch of the old ScrewAttack videos. And there is now a YouTube channel called the ScrewAttack Archive, and they are uploading between 1 and 3 videos a day of the old ScrewAttack stuff. Out of order, no rhyme or reason to what they're posting, from what I can tell. But a lot of the big popular ones from back then, like Jose running through the snow and the salsa challenge that ended in a lot of vomit, those are up. And as well as some of their top 10s and their video game vaults and their old podcasts. I think there's 10 or 11 episodes of their old podcast side scrollers. So yeah. There we go. There's my number 1 pick is ScrewAttack.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll just go into mine now.
Yeah, I guess so.
I didn't really place these in order from numero uno to not numero uno.
Oh yeah, mine was number 1 because it happened to be the top of the list.
Oh, well, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the top of my list, this is a YouTube creator. He's been on YouTube for many, many years now, and he's considered to be one of the biggest video game streamers of YouTube.
Okay.
He is an Irishman, goes by the name Jack, even though his actual name is Sean. And you may know him as Jacksepticeye.
I've heard of that guy. Yeah.
Yes. He was very well known back in the early days of his YouTube career for doing a lot of Happy Wheels videos, and being very loud and rambunctious. And now he has a kind of like the variety channel, and he does just a lot of. He still plays video games, but he also does like Jacksepticeye's Funniest Home Videos and a lot of other really, really, really fun stuff. And he sits up there as one of the biggest YouTube gamers out there.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Yeah.
And I think he's absolutely hilarious and really funny and cool. So.
Yeah. You know who else likes him?
Who?
Is my number 2 pick, the Sisters That Don't Do Anything.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that they're fans of him. Listen, we had them on episode 74, and then we had Megan on a couple episodes later to talk about Cartoon Network All-Stars to the Rescue. I'm sorry, not Cartoon Network, Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue. And yeah. So you can go back through our archives and listen to episodes 74 and I think 77, maybe 76, and get more information about them. But yeah, they're hey, they're friends of mine. I want to promote my friends, right? So
yes,
yeah, check them out too.
Do it.
Yeah.
So to my number 2, I know they also mentioned when you guys when the Sisters That Don't Do Anything were on, and you guys were talking about that. They mentioned this YouTuber as well, and I think he's considered to be the number 2 on the list of video game YouTubers.
Okay.
Because PewDiePie is number 1.
Yeah.
But this is Cincinnati former local Mark Fishbach, also known as Markiplier.
Oh yeah, that guy. Okay. Yeah.
He's been on for quite a long time on YouTube. He's made quite a name for himself in his gaming, especially Five Nights at Freddy's, Amnesia, a lot of the horror games. But he also has done kind of your choose your own adventure type things. So if you go onto YouTube right now, you type in a heist with Markiplier. It is a choose your own adventure that has 31 different endings. And I know that because after I finished the first route and I got the first ending and it said 31 different endings, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going back and I'm doing all of the endings. So I was crazy and I did all the endings.
Nice.
But yeah, he's one of my. He's actually in my early days of YouTube, a lot of the stuff that I watched was primarily like fan-made music videos or video reels or things like that for Star Wars or anime or anything like that. Mark was my first actual YouTube content creator that I actually sat down and watched religiously through his videos. I was watching other content creators at the time, but they weren't posting as regularly anymore, so yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And I do want to say, at least for myself, this is who I'm watching now. This is, I do subscribe to a lot of other people, but these are the ones that when I see these videos up, hey, I'm setting aside whatever I'm doing, or as soon as I'm done with whatever work thing I'm working on, like, cool, I'm going and I'm checking these videos out.
Yes. Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So if we're gonna talk about some of the earliest people that we started watching on YouTube, then I got to go with the Angry Video Game Nerd, which is maybe one of the more obvious choices. Definitely, he's been around. I think his first video went up in 2006. He used to be part of ScrewAttack, in fact. He was one of their early partners. And if you don't know the Angry Video Game Nerd, also I promise not all of these are going to be video game related.
Yeah, no, same.
Just a lot of the stuff that we watch happens to be because we're that age. Yes, the Angry Video Game Nerd is kind of right what it says in the title. He talks about a lot of bad older video games in a very lewd way. This is a lot of dirty language that I cannot repeat on this episode because we're supposed to be family friendly. But over the last 14 years, he's produced over 170 episodes.
Whoa.
Yeah. So he's done a lot.
Dang.
So plenty of fun to be had with him. And then on his channel Cinemassacre, there's hundreds of other videos. I think there's almost 2,000 videos on his YouTube channel, like if you count everything.
Wow.
Like there's a lot of stuff.
Dang.
So yeah.
Cool. Just because you mentioned an oldie in the sense of like they've been around for a long time. I'm gonna go down my list a little bit here, and I'm gonna throw one at you. I don't know if you've ever seen his videos. He did a lot of spoof, funny, kind of whatever he thought would be fun type videos, and that is Nigahiga.
I'm not familiar with Nigahiga.
So Nigahiga was one of the he was around in the time of the OG Smosh and the OG Shane Dawson and the He's been around since almost the beginning of YouTube.
Okay.
Because I remember actually watching him in like junior high and early high school.
Okay.
He created videos like how to be ninja, how to be gangster, how to be nerd, that were these very obviously like just filmed on a small digital camera with copyrighted music, and it's a good time when you watch them.
Mm-hmm.
And as his channel grew, he did a lot more other things. He's done how to sound like your favorite pop star, how to, it's not really how-to videos. Like he also has one where he spoofs Naruto. He has his Dear Ryan, where the fans in the comment section challenge him to do things. Like he has a lot of stuff like that. But sadly, the way my YouTube is set up right now, I don't see any of his newer posts. And I do not know how regular he is on YouTube anymore.
Sure.
But he was a very successful and a very talented YouTuber back in the day. And honestly, probably one of my absolute favorites back then.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, I have I have two more video game people.
Mm-hmm.
So might as well get them out of the way while we're in the video game section.
Yep.
The next one is Jeremy Parrish. And I know I've mentioned him on Atomic Monsoon before, like a year ago. But yeah, Jeremy Parrish is part of the Retronauts podcast. This is his own side project, where he is giving an overview, I guess a review, of every officially licensed giving an overview of every officially released game for the 8-bit Nintendo, the Game Boy, the Super NES, the Nintendo 64, the Virtual Boy, and occasionally some other consoles as well. But all the Nintendo ones he's doing in chronological release order.
Mm-hmm.
So, you click on his thing, you click on the videos, and it's like, NES Works, 1985, and there's the first, dozen and a half games that came out for the Nintendo when it launched. And then 86 is all of the other games in order. So he's just finished 1987, I want to say, on NES Works.
Wow.
And I think he's in the middle of 1991 on Game Boy Works, if I'm not mistaken. Still in the first year of Super Nintendo, still in the first year of Nintendo 64. I think he's completed the Virtual Boy. But there's around 200 videos on his site, just talking about old, video games,
That's awesome.
and giving a very neutral stance on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, good times.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw another video game one out there. This one I've got. So to give you any clarification, my best friend got me into both Mark, Jack, and this next one, which is the Game Grumps.
Oh, the Game Grumps. Yeah.
Oh, the Game Grumps. For those of you that don't know, the Game Grumps are another video game playing YouTube channel. The difference between, I would say, like the Game Grumps and like Markiplier is that Markiplier, you can see Mark's face. You can see his reactions. You can see him rage quit and throw his keyboard around when something bad happens, or screaming in terror when Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy jumps out at him. The Game Grumps, you don't see their faces, you just hear their voices. So it's kind of left up to interpretation, kind of, what they're doing behind the camera. And they play everything. They play popular games, they play not popular games, they play random games from your childhood that you erased from your memory.
Yeah.
They play a lot of games like that. They've played, I don't know how many Mario games, how many Pokemon games. They've played a lot of stuff. They even played this one game called House Party, which, long story short, is a game where you try to hook up with everyone at the party. And they played it so much and became that there was apparently a contest with the game, and the fans nominated the Game Grumps to the point where they won, and now they have actual characters in the game.
Nice.
That they can play and interact with.
Nice.
So, yeah. Plus, also with the Game Grumps, they also have their 10-minute power hours, and they also have all of their Game Grumps animated, which I sat and watched all of them during quarantine.
Sure.
So,
yeah. Man, I remember a couple of jobs ago. So I want to say 2015. One of my coworkers, I worked at a popular retail electronics shop that no longer is in business. Some kind of shack. And it was a very
sell radios.
Strangely, we didn't. But it was very slow there. And sometimes, we'd pull up stuff on our phone and share it with each other when there weren't customers in the store, which was a lot. And we watched the Game Grumps play. I want to say it was Lethal Weapon 4.
Oh my God, that's such a great playthrough.
Yeah. And that's the only time I've really sat down and watched a lot of their stuff. But I will check out some of their highlight videos every so often. Yeah, they're good times.
And for those of you that know, the Game Grumps are hosted primarily by two guys, which is Aaron and Danny. And Danny has his own band, which is Ninja Sex Party. So. Yeah,
man, they're they're pretty funny. Also kind of lewd. And Aaron is also Ecoraptor.
Yes.
Right, and he has done a bunch of cool videos about old video game stuff as well with crazy flash animations. Yeah. So. Every so often, the Mega Man, shut up! I don't need you. Pops up in conversation with friends and roommates and stuff.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of the history of video games, my next pick is the Gaming Historian. Oh. The Gaming Historian is maybe the classiest person on my list. It's all mini documentaries about video games. So, you click on it and you're like, hey, what is this thing, right? What was the Sega 32X? And he's got like a nice little half-hour video that tells you how it came to be, what it was and why it tanked. Most of his videos are probably around the 20 to 35 or so minute mark. But shorter if there's not a lot of content and longer if they need to be. His most recent one was one on Mario Paint for the Super Nintendo. And it was really cool because I had Mario Paint. So it was cool to live the nostalgia of like, oh yeah, this game. I remember this. But also to see how other people interpreted that program. And the really cool thing is that he showcased some musicians and visual artists who still use Paint as one of their primary creation tools. Yeah. And Mario Paint, for anyone that's not aware, is like a proto Photoshop. Like it's like a very, very stripped down, very basic version of Photoshop. On the Super Nintendo, it came shipped with a mouse. Another one of my favorite episodes is the Gaming Historian, and maybe my favorite one overall is the Tetris episode. It's like a 45-minute crash course on international copyright law.
Interesting.
It's crazy.
All right.
And not something you would expect from Tetris.
Okay.
Yeah. And I included episode counts because I was curious, right, for all the YouTube ones that I so there's over 130 episodes of Gaming Historian now.
Okay.
So yeah, like listen, I'm not expecting anyone to go and watch all of these things that I'm expecting or that I'm listing. But like, hey, there's a lot of like a lot of us are stuck at home a lot more often than usual right now. And it's good to know that there is plenty of content to consume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same can be said about the people I'm listening to.
Yeah.
So. All right, so my next one, just because I've mentioned Markiplier and everything, this next one is a collab channel that is done between Markiplier and Crank Gameplays.
Okay.
The channel is called Unis Honest.
Unis Honest.
Yes, UNUSANNUS.
Okay.
So what this channel is about is it's Mark and Ethan decided that they were going to create this YouTube channel that will only last for a year. They will sell merchandise.
You were telling me about this. Yeah.
They'll sell merchandise. They'll on their little website, and they'll have 364 days to do whatever the hell they want. So every single day for 1 year, they're going to post a video just doing whatever the hell they want. And to give you an idea, I haven't seen the most recent episode, but about a week or so ago, they had just finished episode 100. or
Okay.
not 100, episode 100. They have 100 episodes left.
Okay. So they started this significantly before the pandemic hit.
Yes, they started this last November.
Okay.
And they have been making content the whole time, even through the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been crazy. So I was watching a little bit of it before the pandemic happened, and then, went back to watching my other stuff. And then during the pandemic, I started watching a little bit more. And then when I went to go see a friend of mine who's also a big fan, she had this Unis Honest long sleeve shirt. And we sat and watched some videos of Unis Honest and Game Grumps and everything. And by that point, I made the dedication to myself that I'm going to go and watch every single episode.
Oh, no.
Because when the year is up, they are deleting everything. They are deleting their website. They are deleting their channel. They're deleting the comment section.
Oh,
everything is being deleted.
Okay.
So it is kind of a, if you want to look into it, you better do so while you can. If not, then you missed out on a weird experiment thing that only happened for a year. And I actually, because my birthday was last week, I actually got a Unis Honest shirt and everything. So I'm currently wearing it right now.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a cool idea. Just, if you missed this, it's done. You missed it. Yeah. It's completely gone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And going in with that intent is what makes it cool. Yes. Having something that just disappears and that's less cool. So it's August 2020 right now. So if they started in November and they're only going till November, if you're listening now and you're interested in Unis Honest, get honest.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So, all right.
Cool. Well, on the complete other side of things, this one I discovered riding home from work one day on the bus. It's called Technology Connections. And it's not super well known, I don't think, yet. He does about a video a week. So he's got over 100 episodes, so it's about 2 years, maybe a little longer. But it's this guy, just this average looking guy, who loves technology of any kind. And all of these videos are relatively short, but in that 10 to 20 minute range usually, where he gives kind of an overview of what this piece of technology is and how it works and what it does. And the entire thing is filled with a bunch of dry humor and awful puns, which I love. But also it's incredibly educational, and sometimes he gets into a little jargon, a little too jargony in the speech, and it's a little over my head. But I understand why traffic lights work now, and why there is an argument about switching traffic lights from old incandescent bulbs into LEDs, right? Because the LEDs are more efficient electronically. Except they don't heat up as much. So places that need that snow, the old bulbs will melt the snow because of the heat they generate. Yeah. LED bulbs, the snow just sticks to them. Yep. Right. And I wouldn't have ever thought of that unless without watching the Technology Connections videos. He did one on sprinkler heads and how they operate, and one on coffee percolators. Right. And so, just kind of any bit of technology is fair game. And I found it through the history of Laserdisc players, because, of course, that's how I found it. Yeah. And that ended up being like a 5 or 6 video series, because he went all the way back to the concept of Laserdiscs and stuff. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So Technology Connections.
Interesting. It's interesting about the traffic signal thing. You're saying that, I'm sitting here, I'm like, yeah, no, that's right. And I only know that just because my dad works in traffic control.
Yeah, that's right. Your dad works in traffic control. So
it was just like, oh, no, I've heard this before. That makes sense. But the other stuff, I'm like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, all right. So my next pick, they do a lot of top 10 lists. And I know there are an exceedingly large number of YouTubers that do that. Yeah. But these guys, they do it, and I don't know why, but I just seem to kind of trust their source material a little bit, because it's not exactly biased. It's kind of more, they went out, they did their research, and they kind of compared notes and then we're a little biased on some things type of thing. But they talk about anything from anime to movies to television to video games to comic books to superheroes to you name it, they've talked about it. And they have top 10 lists for all of it, and that is Watch Mojo. Yeah. And I've been watching them for quite a while now, and every now and then I'll see something like, the top 10, or I think I saw one recently that was like the top 20 greatest Disney Channel theme songs, and I'm like, sign me up. And so I sat down and I watched it, and it was great.
Yeah, man, Watch Mojo. I feel like every time I turn around, YouTube is suggesting more of their videos to me. And it's they are prolific. I will say that about them. Yeah. Well, if we're gonna go with lists, I'm gonna list. Yeah. I'm gonna just skip ahead a couple points and go to Toy Galaxy.
Oh.
Toy Galaxy is it's mostly about action figure collecting, which is a hobby that I partake in upon occasion. I have been certainly more active in that during the pandemic because I can't go out to stores, but I can find things on the internet a lot easier, it turns out. So I've been collecting a lot of toys lately. Anyways, Toy Galaxy is fun. It's run by a guy named Dan Larson and his producer Greg, and they kind of talk about old toys, but also the things around the toys. So I was checking, and there are 80 Toy Galaxy list shows. So like the top 10 Marvel Legends figures, or the top 10 Transformers, or the top 10 Spider-Man toys, right? The top 10 Batman toys, right? So there's a ton of those. There's over 100 episodes of the history of, so like the history of Transformers, the history of the GoBots, the history of the Sectars, the history of the Dino Saucers, the history of the Thundercats, right? So any of the, it is primarily focused on 80s and 90s boys action cartoon stuff, but also like, hey, that's where a lot of that industry is. Yeah. There are over 200 episodes in the photo booth where it's his hands and him talking about new stuff that he's picked up or that fans have sent into him. My favorite series is the Oddities, where there's only there's about 30 episodes of that, and it's kind of weird one-off stuff or toys that had weird gimmicks that didn't really catch on. And then Stephanie, something you would be interested in is that he is a big fan of the Star Wars character Boba Fett. Ooh. And one of the biggest part of his, well, I don't know, the most disproportionately large part of his connection is what he calls the Boba set. And he is in the process of collecting as many of the original 1979, 1980 Boba Fett action figures as possible. Wow. In the package, out of the package, fixed, broken, paint chipped, paint tacked, whatever. He loves that toy and currently has over 500 of it. And every few months he'll pop up with a new, hey, here's a new edition. Often Dan in the photo booth will be like, hey, here's a new addition to the Boba set. And then every few months there's a, hey, here's a big update. And, just the photo of all these Boba Fetts in the bizarre condition that they're in. Wow. Some of them have just been so miscolored by like sunlight and stuff that like they're just the wrong color now. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating to see someone with 500 copies of the same toy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, Toy Galaxy, good times.
Really cool.
If you're into action figures, or even if you just want to look up the Boba Fett stuff, Toy Galaxy on YouTube. Yep.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
So my next one is the Fine Brothers Entertainment, or FBE. Okay. They are a React channel. What they do.
Oh yeah. These guys that tried to trademark the term React on YouTube, and the government wouldn't let them.
Yeah. They admitted their fault on that. But what they do is they do React videos with kids, teens, college kids, adults, elderly. You name it, they have them in and they do reacts with them. and they have them react to literally anything and everything. Like sometimes like they'll have the kids react to technology from the 90s, and these kids are looking at it not knowing what to do. Meanwhile, me, a millennial, is sitting here going, that's not how you use it. Just like, slowly freaking out.
I think my favorite line from any of their videos that I've ever seen was kids react to the original Game Boy.
Oh God, yes.
And they hand the Game Boy to one of the kids and he goes, "Oh, it's a phone case."
And I just sat there and I cried.
The original Game Boy is about the size of a phone case, like of the big bulkier phone cases. And it is such a popular design for phone cases that I can see a kid being confused by that.
Yeah. But it's crazy watching that. But they also, they react to music, they react to YouTubers, there's even a YouTubers react as well. They react to food, they react to all these different things, and it has expanded so much to the point now where they have, the Fine Brothers channel and as well as the React channel, and it's just sometimes it's just fun, entertaining to watch, like these teenagers or these kids sit and like react to something, or watch the elderly react to something. Sometimes the opinions are maybe not matching of your own,
sure,
because maybe of the age difference or whatever. Other times you are definitely that one. Like there's like one person you definitely relate with on that certain video, and you're like, yeah, that's me reacting to this. So that's actually, because of the React channel, that's actually how I got introduced to 2 other of my listed people.
Oh, so. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna let's talk about some more friends real quick.
Okay.
Our buddy Dana Shobe that was on last week. Was it just last week?
It was just last week, dude.
I have trouble telling how many days ago something was anymore.
Understandable.
But yeah, Dana mentioned at the end of his show, the end of our show that he was on, that he has a channel called Lucky Us. You can find that at Lucky Us Show on YouTube. And it's I think there's only like 9 or 10 episodes, and they're all pretty short, so you can watch all of them in like 2 hours. And a little situational comedy with Dana and his best friend, and just kind of the ins and outs of everyday life with these two.
Indeed.
Pre-pandemic, of course, because they recorded them all last year, and I know they were filming the second season before the pandemic hit. And I don't know what the production looks like at the moment, but I know that there will be more coming eventually. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm also going to throw a name out to support friends. My friends, there's a lot of them that are involved in the project, but they are Mischief and Madness. I've mentioned them before on the show.
You have, yeah.
They are primarily at the moment Twitch streamers, so they are doing, I think, a video game about every day or about every other day on Twitch. They are currently in the process of getting their YouTube channel together. Right now their YouTube channel is just kind of serving as an archive for what they've done on Twitch, but they are planning on creating content there, which you may potentially see someone on there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder who that could be.
I wonder who that could be too. Well, maybe I'll tell you more about it in the future. So, but go check them out, guys. Their playthroughs are a lot of fun. So they also do D&D stuff too. So. But they haven't been able to because of the quarantine.
Right. Yeah. That's great. Well, I'm gonna mention we're friends, but he's also a relative. My cousin Alex, who is a screenwriter, wrote and co-produced or co-wrote and produced, or I don't know exactly how the whole thing works, but a series called Balcony. Which is called it's Balcony Web Series is the full title on YouTube, and again it's a bunch of short videos. I think there's about a dozen of them, all in that 5 to 10 minute range, and just a couple of dudes who live in an apartment in Southern California and spend a lot of time talking about random things on their balcony. They're like 3rd floor balcony or whatever. Quick bite-sized bits of entertainment. Kind of that late 20s, early 30s age group vibe. Yeah, it's fun. And I'm gonna promote my friends and family work, right? So Alex actually just had one of his scripts that he's writing, a biography about Shigeru Miyamoto, the guy that created Mario and Donkey Kong and Zelda.
Yeah.
That script is called Jumpman, and it just got to the semi-finalist round of the Screencraft True Story and Public Domain competition. So he was. I visited him at Thanksgiving, and he was telling me about that script, and I was like, "Man, that sounds awesome!" And I sent him links to the Gaming Historian and Jeremy Parrish because I was like, "Hey, by the way, here's some more information about I don't know what research you've done, I don't know, but here are some other resources for you." And so I think I'm going to get a screen consultant credit or something in that now.
Cool.
If the movie ever gets made. But just kind of in the vein of Straight Outta Compton and Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody, right? All these biopic things are hitting real big right now. And he was like, well, rather than music, what if we did something else? And so he and his writing partner decided to do Shigeru Miyamoto, who's, one of the more influential people in video games.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. And he and I have actually talked about him maybe being on Atomic Monsoon in the near future. So, Steph, we need to talk about that off the air.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah.
So speaking of cinema and movies, my next one on my list is actually so if you've ever seen Cinema Sins, that's the guy who will critique a movie and he'll give it a sin, so a negative, it's a point for it kind of having flaws and things like that. And sometimes his videos are really, really funny. Sometimes, you don't agree with it because you actually really like the movie. Cinema Wins is the complete opposite. He actually gives a point to everything that's great about the film.
Yeah.
One of the first ones I ever watched of his was he did a Cinema Wins thing, or everything great about Rogue One.
Okay.
And I sat and I watched it, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's Rogue One. I'm going to sit and watch this. And it was really, really, really good. And at the point where Vader appears at the end of the hall and turns on his saber, and the music starts playing, you don't even hear the guy say anything. All you hear is is his little bell. It goes ding, for all of the points, just going ding 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 ding. And it maybe a moment later, he goes, "Sorry, I fell asleep on the button." Because it was the thing, he didn't fall asleep during the scene. He was just it was so good, his hand just fell on the button, and it just didn't even realize he was hitting it. And went, oh, you know what? No, that deserves that many points.
Yeah.
So, he critiques a lot of movies, but he critiques them in a positive way. Sometimes he'll give constructive criticism, things that he did find fault with, but he understands that it's him who found fault with it. Not everyone found fault with it. And I really kind of appreciate that.
Yeah.
And he has great reviews of a bunch of different films, especially even the new Star Wars films that people have been giving a lot of crap to. He has a lot of really great things to say about those that even I myself agree with, and kind of help remind me of why I love Star Wars so much. But yeah, no, he is a lot of fun, and I enjoy watching whenever he posts a new Everything Great About video.
That's great. Yeah. I know we try to talk about things that we like in pop culture here in Atomic Monsoon, but I also appreciate everyone else that does, I'm just so sick of the suggestions of top 10 worst or top 10 things wrong with. There's enough bad stuff in the world, even pre-pandemic. There's just a lot of bad stuff in the world. Let's talk about the things that we like. Let's be upbeat about this. Let's share niceness.
Yeah.
It's not, not that there isn't an audience for things wrong with, but yeah, I would much rather watch Cinema Wins before I would ever watch Cinema Sins.
Yeah.
So yeah. Speaking of things I like, so there's a gentleman named Chris McFeely, and that is his YouTube channel name. And he is one of the main contributors to the TF Wiki, the Transformers Wiki page, which is unofficial, but is so elaborate that they actually had to spin off a second wiki to go over some of the tie-in comic stuff because it didn't make sense to have it on the main page, the main wiki. The Transformers wiki might be the most extensive fan wiki on the internet.
Wow.
And it's hilarious. It's full of it's informative, but all of the captions on all the images on there are hilarious. Anyways, Chris McFeely is one of the main contributors to that because the dude, as much as I like Transformers, this guy makes me look like I've only watched 2 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he does a series called Transformers The Basics. And every episode's about 10 minutes. You know, again, some of them are 7, some of them are 15, right? Depending on how much there is to talk about. But it's every single one of them is kind of a crash course on a character or a concept in the Transformers. So, for example, the first one is, what is Transformers continuity? Because it keeps getting rebooted. It keeps getting split off. It keeps being diverted. Yeah. And so, you know, that whole first episode is just, what is continuity in the world of Transformers? He recently did an episode that was about the creation of Transformers as a concept. And he's actually interjected that in the from 1 through whatever episode list. Like, it's now actually closer to the beginning. And if you've watched the episode from The Toys That Made Us on Netflix about Transformers, that's like the introductory 101 class version of it, and Chris McFeely's version is like the master's thesis version.
Wow.
Yeah, he goes into so much more depth because it's not meant for a broad audience. It's meant for Transformers fans, right? So Transformers The Basics is intended for new Transformers fans, or people who are kind of familiar but haven't necessarily seen everything. But yeah, and there's over 100 episodes of that now, and episode 100 was actually Optimus Prime. Took him 100 episodes to get there. So,
wow.
Yeah. But those are a lot of fun. They come out once a week, I think on Saturdays. And like I said, you know, for me, it's a fun way to kind of kick off the weekend. Is like, oh yeah, I remember that thing, or like, oh, I've heard of this, but I actually haven't read those stories yet. Like, so yeah. So that one's pretty cool.
Cool. So my next one is, I think, Andy, you've seen this channel before. I think I've mentioned it to you before, and you said that you've seen them. But I got into this channel about early last year, and they just, I don't know how to, they're kind of a variety channel because they just do a variety of different things. They test in different things. And it stars 2 guys named Rhett and Link, and it is Good Mythical Morning. Oh yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah. So I don't have a whole lot to say about them, just other than the fact that they are also some of the longest running YouTubers out there. I think that Good Mythical Morning is on its like 17th, 18th season according to YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah. So they've been just making so much stuff. And all of it, you know, there might be some similarities, there might be some differences, but they, you know, a lot of the stuff that they do and talk about is just really informative, especially because they test out like things that you've always kind of were curious to test out. And then they give like an honest review of it. And so you're like, oh, okay, maybe I should, you know, give that a try or something. Especially if you like something else that they've talked about that they give a positive review to. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's cool. It's a really good show, very wholesome, a lot of fun. So.
All right, so this is my last one that I have on the list here, and it is the Pop Arena channel on YouTube, but specifically their Knickknacks series. And I think I've mentioned this on the show. If not, I know I've told a lot of my friends about it. Knickknacks is this guy that runs the channel, this kid from Idaho. He's going through every Nickelodeon show in order. Oh my god. Yeah. Episodes are about 20 to 45 minutes, depending on how much there is to talk to about any particular show. But some of the bigger shows, the tentpole Nickelodeon shows, like You Can't Do That on Television or Double Dare, both of those episodes are over 90 minutes.
Oh my god! Because
they're such a big deal in the formation of Nickelodeon, and there's so much information available about them. Yeah. And probably my favorite part about this thing is that, like, you can watch the thing and be like, oh yeah, I remember, Mapletown, Double Dare or whatever, and you can watch the episode and it's fine, right? But if you watch all of them, it's the entire narrative of Nickelodeon from the beginnings of cable television.
Wow.
The first few episodes are actually the history of cable TV, and it goes all the way up. It's all up in order chronologically. There's about 60 episodes right now, and he's in the middle of 1987. And Nickelodeon started in 81, I want to say. So
wow.
There's still a ways to go.
Yeah.
His goal was to get through the early Nicktoons stuff, starting with like Ren and Stimpy and Rugrats. But he was like, well, if I'm gonna go back that far, I might as well go back all the way.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, Pop Arena, their Knick-Knack show, and that's my last entry today.
So I have technically one last entry. It's kind of two entries sharing one.
Okay. You get about 5 minutes, so yeah, one more sounds good.
Yeah. So earlier I mentioned that the React channel, the Fine Brothers React channel, introduced me to two other YouTube channels, and those are The Odd Ones Out and Jaden Animations.
Okay.
These are both YouTube animators. They are both actually about my age, maybe a year or two younger, and they create just fun stories about their lives in animation form. The Odd Ones Out has created comic strips before that you may have seen that has been commonly used for memes sometimes. Mm-hmm. But they are, very young, very talented animators, and they have been creating, I don't know quite how long, it doesn't seem like they've been creating for a very long time. But I have actually met both of them in person.
Oh, cool.
Both at Phoenix Con, because they actually are both from Phoenix.
Okay.
And strangely enough, one of the videos I was watching from Jaden, she was talking about this one story involving some friends from college, and she had the friends voice themselves in the episode, and one of the voices started speaking, and she's like, "Oh yeah," and then my friend Brian, and then he started speaking, and immediately I freaked out because I recognized the voice as one of my college friends named Brian, who did She Kills with me.
Oh, wow.
Who played one of the bugbears, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's Brian!" And, I freaked out, and I sent him a text, and I'm like, "Dude!" And he told me the whole thing, like, "Oh yeah, no, Jaden and I are best buds, went to high school together." Like, he went on this whole thing, and it was the craziest thing ever, and it was really cool to meet her in person. And then I met The Odd Ones Out last year at Con, because he had a whole table set up, and I bought his book from him, and James is the name of is the guy who's creating it. Mm-hmm. And while he was cleaning up his booth for the night, and I was paying for the book, oddly enough, a kid from high school that I knew was actually the one running the little card swipe machine to take payments, and it was the weirdest thing ever. That it was just like, dude, I haven't seen you since like high school. Like, we're just chatting and like remembering the good old days. Even though you were kind of a jerk to me in the old days, but that's water under the bridge. Yeah. And it was just kind of the craziest thing. And I've met both of them. They're super nice. They're super cool. And because of James and The Odd Ones Out, I cannot say Subway the same way ever again. It is now Suaboy. He says that to avoid copyright, and because of that, I laugh, and I think it's a funny way to say Subway.
Suaboy.
Yep.
I might need to start picking that up. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's my last one. So. All
right. Well, there you go, guys. There's like 24 things you can go check out, mostly on YouTube. In fact, I think all of mine are on YouTube.
Yeah, all of mine except for Mischief and Madness are on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Andy, there's one more content creator we got to talk about.
Who's that?
Atomic Monsoon, and where you can find us.
Well, Stephanie, you can find Atomic Monsoon on voiceamerica.com/show/3776, or you can go to atomicmonsoon.com, which will just redirect you to that. You can find us on your favorite podcatchers, where you can rate, review, and subscribe to the show. Boy, it's been a long week. You can find us on social media at Atomic Monsoon on Twitter and Facebook, and Atomic Monsoon with the underscore between the words on Instagram. You can find us on Redbubble. And if you have any comments, questions, thoughts, theories, or conspiracies, don't send us conspiracies. You can do that to atomicmonsoon@gmail.com.
Yep. So
there you go.
Yeah, it's been a long week, and we talked about a lot of content creators, and like Andy said, you can find them all pretty much on YouTube. And if you don't remember who we talked about, we'll list them all in the description.
Are we doing that? Okay.
Well, we'll list some in the description.
You know what? Why don't you'll have to email me that list. But
Yeah.
I'm just gonna read mine because I have this list right here.
Yeah. All right.
ScrewAttack Archive, Angry Video Game Nerd, Jeremy Parrish, Gaming Historian, Technology Connections, Chris McFeely, Toy Galaxy, Pop Arena, The Sisters That Don't Do Anything, Lucky Us Show, Balcony Web Series.
Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, The Game Grumps, Unis, Honest, Watch Mojo, FBE, Cinema Wins, Good Mythical Morning, Niga Higa, Mischief and Madness, The Odd Ones Out, and Jaden Animations.
And there you go. That's a lot of stuff for you guys to check out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also, you know what? We had Gina Ippolito on right before quarantine started. You should listen to the podcast. Knowing is half the podcast if you are at all a fan of G.I. Joe.
Do it.
Yeah. All right, guys. And with that, we are just about out of time. So we are going to sign out and have a wonderful week and have a lovely life and stay safe out there, everyone.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.